Alright, somebody wanted me to do a video on how I set the push to talk up on the Spirit System microfight. So basically you'll need some wire cutters. I prefer the flush type, that way that it does not leave a sharp edge when you cut them that will end up cutting you. You can ask people in the telecommunications industry about that. Many people have had stitches and cuts and stuff from not having the flush cut tie wraps. Also use some needle nose. It helps get in there and grab and tighten stuff up, because making it tight is the key to keeping it from moving around. So basically we're using these 3 straps on either side, doesn't matter. I prefer to start with the bottom one. I take my first short tie wrap and I just put it in there enough just to make it click. Because the ideal here is I want to take the clip part of your U94 Nexus push to talk and sort of put it into that particular tie wrap. And hopefully that comes through on the video, I don't know. But basically you can see it's right there on that tie wrap. It's not going to come out. You still want to take you some other needle nose or whatever, and you want to tighten that up as tight as you can. That keeps things from moving around. Once you get it tight, flush cut that off. Now I generally then take 2, put them together, and we're going to thread it through underneath the spring of the U94. I hope I got enough white balance that you can see this. Then the other end's going to go back under that same piece of thread there, and then you're going to put them together, and you're going to tighten these up as tight as possible. And once again, I like to use the needle nose, try to get those as tight as possible. The tighter the better. And then flush trim them and out of the way. So that's the first set. Then the last one, you're going to run through the same area, and you're going to make sure that it's on the back side of that bottom head of that tie wrap. That's what's going to keep it from sliding off of your Nexus 94 as you're moving around and stuff. And get that on there. And of course you can use bigger tie wraps. I just have an abundance of these little ones and they work. Once you get that in there, tighten that up good. Alright. Now that pretty much, like I said, over the years I have not had that come off. I've run this setup on several different microfights. And then what I like to do is go ahead and follow that cable down into the first tie, or into the first clip, and run one around there. And I mean, you're not looking for, you're not trying to cinch it down where you pinch the cable. You just basically want to keep the cable from being loose and grabbing on things as you're running through different areas. Then the same way to the bottom clip, through that bottom hole. Just another one. Once again, you're not trying to make this tight. You just want to do some cable management. This is the Burger Systems full flap. Also, Axle Advance makes a high top. I prefer that one over this one. Matter of fact, I have some on order from Axle Advance, so as soon as they get here, it'll make this a lot easier. You can take some Velcro and make an actual pocket in there so that your radio will then slide into that pocket. Now it's all up to you how you want to run. I prefer to run mine on the inside, or the push to talk on the outside, the push to talk cable on the inside, and then you can zip that up. Now another option you can do, depending on how long your push to talks are, you can still run another zip tie around here, which is the cable or the loop on the microfiber. And I've lost my trimmers here. Too much stuff. Alright, so then that should take care of your cable management. And also, so there's also another different thing you can do, antenna relocation, which would basically, if you do an antenna relocation, you want a short one. So you can come out that same area and then run it through and crisscross and have your antenna right up here. I have another system somewhere. Here it is. This is one I use a lot. Basically the same thing. Here's my push to talk. It's a little different push to talk, but you can see my antenna relocation is coming out, and then I just have a little short, make sure it's in frame, a little short antenna on there, and so that keeps the antenna from getting in the way when you're trying to do mag changes and stuff like that. So let me pull this screen around so I can try to see what's in frame and what's not in frame. Videos is not my thing, but you know, so that's just another option. Same thing. This right here is the actual Yaesu FT60. That's what I prefer to run, but I know a lot of guys are running the Bell Fangs, and that's why I'm setting this other one up that way. Get that one out of the way. Alright, so then from there, depending on, so this is a cable for the Ops Core rack system. Depending on how long your cable is all this depends upon. What I do with mine is I run the cable down through, back around over top of the push to talk, back up the top, and then plug it into play. That way you know it's not coming out, and you know, so it also helps secure that over there. Maybe you can see that. You know, it helps secure the cable on there, so you don't have to worry about it getting pulled out, yanked out. Because once you get your helmet on, you'll find that you usually have a lot of extra cable, especially with the amp system. And then I'll pull over a Contact 3 system and show you how I run that one. I'll rip that out. And there's a Contact 3 system. Alright. So even with a Contact 3 system, once you have your ear pro down, you still have a lot of cable left on your push to talk. So a couple different ways. Same way you can run it through, but this time if you don't have enough, and mine's got Velcro on it so it likes to stick as I stick it through here. Once again, wrap it back around, and then what I do is use the actual clip to run the cable through. Now you want to make sure that you don't use the clip to actually puncture the cable. But once again, keeps it in there good. It's not coming off. You generally have plenty of room. Secondary option, if you don't have a lot of room, if you just happen to have a short cable, get that out of there, is run it through once on the top strap, roll it back around, and then click it in there. Once again, that just gives you a little option of keeping it from being easily pulled out. But like I said, most of your cables are long enough that you can get the full push through that I was referring to. And then that will get you set up for your push to talks, and keep them from coming loose, moving around, especially on the microfights. it's worked for me. Like I said, I do a lot of running, gunning, that kind of stuff out for work. Lots of moving in these microfights, and I find that works the best. Now it's not the easiest when you have your helmet on and all your gear on and you're trying to get everything to fit into place, but it's worth it to take the time to move it all around, because I can't tell you how many times I've been running around and just had that empty loop and grab on a tree, a door frame or something like that, and it, you know, usually either rips it out of the push to talk or almost rips the helmet off your head. You know, and it can actually then break your high dollar push to talks. You spend $500-600 on a set of contact 3s, or Lord forbid if you spend $1,600-1,700 on an amp rack system or something like that. You know, the last thing you want to do is get your cables caught up into different areas and cause stuff to rip out. So that's sort of my push to talk set. It's pretty much across the same across all of my microfights. It's not much different, except I use Velcro. Oh, let's see if I got one here. It's not much different of using Velcro on a plate carrier. This again is using another antenna relocation kit. This is the Catalina, I think. I forget how they pronounce it. Relocation kit. I like it. It's another good relocation kit. It's good. Guy's a good resource. And he's going to be making some 90s in the future, which for guys who want to run them in a plate carrier setup like this, that's obviously a very good thing to do. And then slides down into place. Hold that over. Once again, I use short push to talks. I don't know if Disco 32 is making the short or to order push to talks. I think they will if you talk to them. I prefer for most of my plate carriers and microfights and stuff, you're looking at, I like a 16-inch overall push to talk. Anything more than that seems to always be too long. So you might want to reach out to them. If not, there is a Facebook group that I can get you in touch with. The guy makes quality products, and that's who this one is. The other one, I can't remember if I got that one from Disco 32 or not. But then there's also 5-4 Communications. He's the EU distributor. A super good guy. He's fixed several of my headsets and stuff, and he does good price even though he's over in Ireland. You pay a little more for shipping there and back, but for quality work, he does it. But basically, same thing. I'm running this relocation kit through the loops of the Spiritus system, and works pretty good. Have no problems. Been driving down the road with it before. Got good reception into several repeaters, 20-30 miles away. Some of that's elevation, height is mine, all that kind of good stuff. But same thing, your push to talk system here. Let's see if I can get that to come out. It's a little harder to manage your cables on these Spiritus plate carriers. Not saying it can't be done, but if you push it through the tube, or I call it the tube, I'm not sure the proper terminology. And there we go. And it clicks right in. So it's using Velcro. I used industrial strength Velcro, and on top of that, I actually super glued the Velcro to the push to talk because I did not want that Velcro coming off. And it holds on very well. Never had it rip off. And then once again, you got plenty of room with your tube hanging out, or your push to talk hanging out the back and running through there, so you don't have to worry about it catching on stuff, and working for your plate carrier. Now I'm a huge Spiritus guy. I was just been following those guys ever since they came out. but just for some variety. Here's another, this is a parcelet from SKD Tactical. And here's where I normally would run my radio. This is MDOM, EMDOM. It's actually made for GPS, but it works great for radios, small radios, not your big ones. And I'm running a relocation kit across the cummerbund into the back. And then I usually have a long whip antenna sitting there. Same thing, you know, push to talk would come up, and I would run the push to talk management up over here somewhere. A lot of times it's running the same way I would run some tubes or Velcro through here to be able to route my cables through. And let's see, here's another one. This is older. This has got some level 4 plates. Same, I can get this in frame. Same radio holder. Like I said, I like these radio holders because, you know, they fold down. You can program your radio, make changes, whatever you want to, then zip it back up. You can see the antenna relocation kit's running through the shoulder strap. And then once again comes down and running on a whip antenna. And the push to talk does the same thing. Comes right out of there, like I said, with a short push to talks, and then Velcro's right in, and then that's what these Velcro tubes are for, is to manage that cable going to my helmet. So pretty much doesn't matter what plate carrier you're running. You know, it's the system works. It's just modifying it to work for your particular plate carrier. Now these are some older ones. I don't like to run them very often, but I still do from time to time, just because there's nothing wrong with them. I just prefer the lighter, smaller, slicker Spirited systems. So hope that answers your questions. I'll throw this up on YouTube, and I'll throw a screenshot on Instagram to the link to YouTube. It'll be in my bio, my profile link. So hope that helps. Hit me up with Instagram if you got any more questions about why or how I do it, and also if you have any questions about comms in general. I spent about 10 years in the Army doing comms. Got out of the Army and then been in communications pretty much the remaining of my life. Started doing contract work for Southwestern Bell, AT&T, US West, all those guys, installing into central offices, doing my microwave work, and been doing ham radio for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10, shit, it's hard to tell anymore, 10, 12 years. So the theories are all the same, no matter how far you want to go. You just got to understand what you can and can't get away with. Power is nice. More power is always good, but height is always better. So you can go a lot further the higher you are. So, you know, height over clearing over areas. And then some basic other rules, just so you'll know. Generally, if you're in concrete buildings and so forth, generally UHF is the better frequency to try to be on. And if you're out and about in the woods, open space, stuff like that, VHF is better. They usually give you longer range. So anyway, I'm going to end that here. That's probably been long enough. My God, it's been 20 minutes and I'm not doing any editing, so I hope you can handle my rambling.